Okay. A little while back, I read Robert Glover's book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. And that was a wild ride for me. I learned a lot about myself in that book. And one of the things I learned was just how problematic it is to be anything but your genuine self. Now, the general premise here is that when you were a little kid, going from baby to toddler kind of age, it was vitally important for your survival to make sure that you were on the good side of your parents. You had to please your parents, because the alternative is that if that does not go well, you might die. As a helpless child, you're totally dependent on those parents really, really liking you. And if those parents, say, were not totally secure in themselves, if they were not whole and complete, and they were looking to you as this little child to complete them, like they needed you to be a certain way for them to feel good about themselves. Just for example, like if the parents needed the child to be very well behaved, otherwise the parents would not be happy, or if they needed the child to impress people with how intelligent they are, or if they needed the child to whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But basically the child will internalize that as, I'm not good enough the way I am. And so they will change how they are, who they are, in order to try and please their parents. Now, I mean, in a way, that's fine. But in a way, it's also a big problem, because that's a really critical time in your life. And it means that child, as they're developing their psyche, as it's being formulated, they will have this built-in feeling of, I can't be me. I have to put on this show, because they have this fear now that if they are genuine, if they let themselves out, that they will be rejected. That would be dangerous in some way, because we all really care about how we are perceived. We're social, and we just can't ignore how critical it is for humans to be accepted into their tribe. Okay, so learning that, opened up a lot for me, and just understanding why I am the way I am, and why I might feel like I have to hold back being me. Because I'm on this journey about trying to figure out who I am and what I want and how I want to be, and asking a lot of questions, like just why I am the way I am, and why do I feel so uncomfortable in certain situations, or just why I can't be as free with my emotions as I would like to be. And well, I'm appreciating more and more the incredible power of being your genuine self, which is another way of saying of being honest, right? Because if you aren't your genuine self, you're basically lying about who you are. And that's a crazy thing to lie about. That'll I think that does a lot of damage to your own personal power. I keep using that phrase. I don't know why that one sticks with me, but it does, and it does encapsulate what I'm looking for, which is I'm looking for that confidence in your genuine self that allows you to really push through and do things that are meaningful and important to you. Because I find that meaningful, important things are scary. And so if you don't have a lot of personal power behind that effort, then they don't really go anywhere. So I've been thinking about how to be less afraid of being me and expressing my emotions and just being present in the world as a person that takes up space and has opinions and wants to do things. God, taking up space is such a funny thing. You know, I in a lot of ways, I try to take up as small of space in public as I can. I mean, it even goes as far as like, I feel like my posture is affected by that mentality, where I'm afraid that if I have good posture, it comes across as being too proud and too, I don't know, just full of myself or something. And so I kind of slouch and I make myself smaller and less imposing. And that's kind of wild. Like, why can't I just... why should I feel bad about having a positive, strong presence in a space? You know, that goes along with that ingrained idea that somehow I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough. That robs me of so much, you know, not the posture thing, but just the concept in general, you know, of feeling like you're not good enough and you needing to hide who you are a little bit. So I'm looking at ways to get over that, because I can really see clearly that it has such a profound effect on my life direction. You know, what I'm trying to do, where I'm trying to go, and who I want to be. And this goes back to trying to get upstream on problems, you know? And it's harder to get more upstream than your own childhood and the events that formed your psyche. And I'd like to talk more about, you know, maybe the specifics of why I think I got that nice guy profile embedded in me. But for now, I'm aware, I'm acknowledging that it's there, and that it impacts my life, impacts what I can do, and that's a big deal to be aware of it, because it's, you know, obviously that's the first step. You have to be aware of the problem, and then you can start working on the solutions. So, and if it wasn't obvious, talking to a camera is actually part of my process. It's part of my solution, because it forces me to get out and say things that are important to me and that maybe put me in a little bit of a vulnerable position. Because if you're honest, you're going to be vulnerable. And if you're vulnerable, well, that's kind of a scary thing. You're putting your real self out there. So I'm working on that and seeing how I can develop the skill of getting my personality to come out, I guess. I mean, that's kind of it. And how cool is the concept of like your unique personality? Because I was talking with my wife about this. It was a really fun conversation. The uniqueness of you is so cool. And yet, we spend so much time and effort trying to kind of tamp down our uniqueness. But it's kind of the only thing we've got of real value. There's no use in having a copy of a human. I don't think. I think the real value comes from letting that part of you out that is totally unique, and that's where you'll find real value in your contribution to the universe, because the universe made you unique. I mean, that's how I think about it. Like between your genetics and your incredibly complex and unique childhood and all of that emotional and physical development, you are incredibly unique. And it seems like by resisting that, if you reject your uniqueness in favor of trying to be somebody else, trying to please other people, which is to say trying to hide your uniqueness, that seems like a slap in the face to the universe that made you, that crafted you in that totally unique way. I mean, in that conversation with my wife, I was basically saying, it might just be your life's purpose to let out your unique being, to connect with, to find and love and express your unique self. It's a hard thing to do. It's hard for me anyway. It doesn't, it's like pulling teeth for me. At least that's the way it feels. But that's an idea that excites me, because I know, this is just kind of like one of my beliefs, is that the best things that one could do are done from that place of genuine self, of accepting and loving your genuine self and letting that out. And so that's the way I'm viewing the work, the personal development work that I'm doing on myself right now, is that I want to know and accept and love myself and let it out, with the belief that being that is okay, and that it's not it's not going to be bad for me or bad for anyone else. And in fact, I think that everyone else will appreciate it, that's a good thing for me, my neighbors, my community, just the world as a whole. So wow, that got, it got big. I didn't really know where I was going to go when I started recording, but that's a good one. And I'm going to work on that and expand it, think about it, and we'll talk more.